Episode 4. Arky and his friends. The next day, her child had been waiting impatiently to hear the rest of the story. "Didn't you forget about Arky?" the child asked. "His part comes now. Arky is a small triumphal arch, just like Trajan and his twin brother, but much, much younger," the child's mother replied. "He likes to play with his friends Beta, the mechanical mixer, and Ify, the little girl tower, in the school playground. Arky admires his uncles, the triumphal arches, and hopes he will soon be big enough to accompany them on their missions." The child was full of interruptions. "What is Beta? Is he a mixer? Like the electric kind you plug in the kitchen?" "No, Beta is one of the mechanisti. They just have simple moving parts. But yes, he's a mixer, the old-fashioned kind. There are all kinds of inanimati, ones without any mechanisms, some who are ponti or bridges, some who are serbatoi or containers. Even the mobili are there. These are our furniture pieces." She pointed to a lamp on the bedside table. "I told you the inanimati are all around us. They want to be your friends too. But we don't see them in our world as they see themselves. Arky has a playmate named Bajor, who even looks a bit like your lamp, but she likes to dance." The child's eyes widened at the image, but the mother continued with the story. "Just because Arky is from the Arky Romani family, it doesn't mean his playmates are the same. His best friend Ify is a young strutturale, and Beta is one of the mechanisti, as I said, the kind of inanimati who actually have moving parts. Beta and Arky and Ify are all young inanimati, but of different kinds, just like you and Kipling the cat are all mammals, but of different types. They have their own tasks to fulfill when they get bigger, but for now they enjoy playing together like you do with your friends." "What will Arky be when he grows up?" asked the child. "He is a triumphal arch, of course," the mother replied. "And so he will have an important role to fill when he is big enough. Just like you, Arky is anxious to grow up quickly and be like his uncles who stand guard at the borders of reality where the chronostic flux flows. He is envious of all the arches his great-uncle Colosseo Maximus has, and wishes he could travel through time and space and be with the real heroes like they are." "Does he go to school like I do?" the child asked. "Of course," replied the mother. "All children must go to school. That is where Arky has to memorize long lists of warriors and battles and tragedies and victories that someday, as a triumphal arch, he will need to carry. And he must know all the parts of his architecture. He often wishes he could be like Beta, who just has to practice separating egg yolks. Arky has a favorite backpack named Zaino he carries his special toys and textbooks in, and sometimes, if he is good, he finds in it a bar of chocolate to share with his friends, because Arky loves chocolate. His dream is to take a bath in chocolate. Would you like that too?" "No," replied the child. "That's too yucky and sticky. I would rather eat it and share it." "Then you're a wise child," the mother replied. "Arky is good at sharing and always tries to do the right thing, but sometimes he just gets a bit carried away just being happy." "How does Arky know the adventures of the big archers?" asked the child. "A good question," the mother replied. "Actually, it's quite simple. Arky likes to read about the history of the inanimati and use what he has learned to make up stories and go exploring in make-believe with Ify and Beta. Just like you and your friends, they have a great imagination, and their fantasy leads them to distant times and places, worlds where all is possible and where their adventures never stop. But sometimes play stories mix up with real stories." "How does Arky's adventure begin?" the child asked, ready for excitement right away. She saw that some small part of the story must be shared, or this curiosity would never let her child sleep. "All right, I will tell you just this once how it all began." She sat on the bed beside her child and pulled the covers up tight. Wide eyes looked at her eagerly from the darkness. "One day Arky was on the playground practicing piling small stones into towers," she began, "trying to make arches to connect them. It was his homework for that day. Every arch must know how they are made. What is the role of the keystone? How big is the span to the rise? Which stone is the impost? Things like that. Do you know these words? No? Tomorrow, I will show you what they mean. That morning at school, Professor Penn had discussed the events in the news, how armies of Arky were on the march to protect the city. The playground had other small inanimati in it. Nearby, his friends, the Cog brothers, were rolling around, balancing on each other. Arky looked up towards the sun. It was making a strong shadow of everything around him. He thought of what he had read the day before. Did you know that they say Great-Uncle Maximus lost half his colonnade in the battle with Golgothicus's army? He asked his friends. How did you know that? Peter asked. He'd been making swirls in the dirt with his beater blades, but he came over to listen next to Ify. She had been lifting 2 of her legs into the air for short moments, practicing balancing on one leg like her cousins the phone poles. You'd know too if you had to do the homework assignments I get, Arky responded. Professor Penn says being a triumphal arch means you have to be up to the latest news. You never know when you'll be called upon to help in a heroic deed yourself. He realized he sounded a bit too proud. When I grow up, I mean, he added humbly. Don't worry, Arky, said Beta. You never know what the future will drop in on you as a surprise. Maybe a chance to be a hero will fall from the sky. I don't think there's anything in the sky today but clouds, began Ify. But as she said this, a thin shriek pierced the air far above and a dark shadow passed over the 3 friends. They all looked up, but whatever it was that had passed between them and the sun was gone. Dust began to blow around them, and the wind suddenly rose to a howl, causing the young motivati on the playground to huddle together in fear. Arky stood tall and protected his friends from the menacing clouds of dust and debris that flew around, imagining as it were that he was a triumphal arch guarding the gates between worlds. As quickly as it had begun, the wind subsided, and the leaves being blown around settled back to earth. Arky was about to ask Ify and Beta what that could have meant when a small metal tube twirled down from the skies and landed at his base with a hard whoomp. What was that? The child asked quickly. That is for us to discover tomorrow, the child's mother said, and she stood up and prepared to put out the bedroom light. Now it is time for sleep and dreams. Think of all the heroic deeds you will be called upon to help with when you grow up. Go to sleep now. Tomorrow for bedtime, I will tell you a bit more of their story. Each of the friends has an important part to play in their adventure.